So what is going on, Kingdom Hearts fans? It's your boy Amaziah here, and today we're going to be talking about some information that came from Tetsuya Nomura, going over the English and Japanese dubs, being the only dubs that Kingdom Hearts 3 will be getting, the script writing, and of course the translation process. So these are a few things that go towards more so the aesthetic of Kingdom Hearts 3 versus of course the actual gameplay and meat of the whole experience, the gameplay. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The first question Tetsuya Nomura was asked was, Kingdom Hearts 2 was dubbed in Castilian. Why is this not the case for Kingdom Hearts 3? In which he would answer with, Kingdom Hearts 3 is completely dubbed. It's completely dubbed, guys. And in addition, we have adapted the synchronization of the lips to the spoken language. So whenever a character, so if we compare the two versions of the game when it comes out on the 25th and 29th, their voices won't sync up, and the reason for that is because, like he just said here, they synchronize the voice to the language. So pretty much in English there's going to be different lip movements from, of course, in Japanese. This has never been the case in Kingdom Hearts before. This is why if you really pay attention to the cutscenes, it seem a bit off. So he continues with, so we had to consider the associated costs. Considering the difference in quality between current hardware and what was there when Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2 were released, we had to do things in completely different ways. The casting of each country, the recording, the staff schedules, and the work process itself had to be done in the same way for both English and Japanese versions. Only just recording the voices takes a lot of time, work, and budget, and subsequently it would mean that we would not be able to launch the game simultaneously in the whole world. We'll speak on this in a bit. We wanted it to be a priority that it was the first game in the Kingdom Hearts series to be launched in this format. Damn, voice crack. But it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 isn't going to come out, of course, simultaneously around the world. 4 days is enough time, more than enough time, for someone who truly dedicates themselves to pretty much spoil the whole experience. And people who aren't going to be patient, this is why I'm getting the Japanese version. Because I know a lot of people ask me, why are you getting the Japanese version if you don't understand it? Is because I would rather experience it myself and spoil it for myself in that kind of way. Because I know myself and I know that I won't be able to wait for the game to come out to see the fucking ending, especially even if it's just 4 days. When Kingdom Hearts 2.8 came out, I watched that whole thing get played on Twitch, so I know myself. I know I won't be able to wait, so I'd rather just buy it myself and just play it myself, and then also pick up an American version of the game as well. So you know, when he says that, it makes sense. I'm not trying to say like what he's saying is bullshit, but it makes sense what he's saying. You know, he's saying that we wanted to make sure we kept it short because a lot of different countries speak English. So English isn't everyone's first language, but English is a lot of different countries' second language. In fact, English is one of the most universally taught languages through all of the different countries. So it makes sense that, of course, they would go with English and Japanese. And what he's saying here is that if we really wanted to add other languages, it would take the extra work of actually putting in the actual lip synchronization, which means that, of course, this would have took a lot more work for every language that they wanted to release the game in. And if we take examples like Pokemon, these games, of course, are usually shipped in like 15 different languages. So they didn't want to do that. They just wanted to actually have a core game with the English version being the core game, because that can be the game that everyone will experience. And we know that no final mix version will be coming for Kingdom Hearts 3. So that makes sense to me. There is usually a great deal, this is the question, there is usually a great deal of attention to detail in the translations of the Square Enix games. How is the translation of the text progressing, and what is the process behind this? Nomura answered, we have spent a lot of time making the preparations, so the original text has been translated as directly as possible. While in the case of the different Disney worlds, we asked the translators to keep the original dialogue of the films. The translation of Kingdom Hearts 3 is done internally, and we follow a multi-layered process. Co-director Tayasue, who speaks English, checks the text, and Disney later checks it again. So I like that they're going this extra mile. I don't remember there being too many, of course, cases of things being translated wrongly from, of course, the Japanese version to the English version of the game. But with Kingdom Hearts 3, they are actually going that extra mile anyways, in which, of course, they're actually going to have an internal check, and then Disney is also going to check it as well. So, I mean, Disney, we know Disney has a huge-ass quality assurance team, and with that being said, of course, we already know this is going to come out almost spick and like spotless when it comes to translations. There shouldn't be anything fucking people bring up a year later talking about, oh, this was a mistranslation and stuff like that. Especially if, of course, something big happens with the power scaling and the abilities of the characters. We don't have to have a situation, of course, because this is how people usually try and twist power-ups to where they be like, oh my god, no, it was a mistranslation. Well, I don't think that can actually happen here. We also had the little moment, though, with Marluxia saying the true organization 13 when he was, I mean the true organization when he was really saying the organization 13, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I mean, having them do that second check definitely does sit well with me. So it says, as the question, it says the translation of Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh, no. I'm behind. It says, how do you create the overall history / lore of Kingdom Hearts 3? And at the same time, that of the different worlds. Is Disney involved in the process? First, I create the general structure of the broader narrative, and another scriptwriter uses it to fill in a more detailed plot. Then I take all that and start writing the whole story. Sometimes I use it only as a guide, and other times I stick other parts on top of the original plot. Finally, Disney edits it and gives us approval. So this is very interesting. Well, he has some more to say, but I just want to say that this is very interesting because Kingdom Hearts does have a whole dilemma behind it of being confusing when really it's not really that confusing. I feel like if you play all of the games, you'll find out what's happening. Pretty much all of the plot holes that was left in Kingdom Hearts 2, which is the actual game that ruined Kingdom Hearts when it comes to the structure of the story. Kingdom Hearts 1 story was very serviceable to the game, but Kingdom Hearts 2 story tried to introduce too many different things and didn't do nothing with it, like Roxas. The reason why 358 Days Over 2 exists is because after Kingdom Hearts 2 was released, Nomura was like, oh shit, I need to tell the story, or he wants to tell the story of why Roxas was even a thing, why Roxas existed, what he did, and of course the story that is hinted at within Kingdom Hearts 2. And there were hints there within Kingdom Hearts 2, but I just find it kind of interesting that of course there's someone else that's actually going, oh look, this is some cool elements that Nomura sent me. Okay, let me actually build a base plot line. And then Nomura says that sometimes he just sticks stuff on top of that. I think that kind of sounds weird because it's kind of like when you call someone the director, when you call someone the writer or something, you expect them to essentially, they are the people that build the base plot line, and then they have other writers and stuff that kind of chip in and bring in ideas and of course make sure that that all formulates into something cohesive. That's how I usually see how writing should go. But if this is his process, as long as Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out with an amazing story, I can't say I really mind it. In the case of the sections, then this is more his answer, I guess you could say. In the case of the sections that take place in Disney worlds, the process is slightly different. When I have the outline of the story, we continue to base the workflow in the process that I just explained. But I have as a rule that oh my god, sometimes when Nomura talks, it's just worded so weird. It doesn't flow like speaking in real English. I mean, not to say it like that, but it doesn't flow like when, of course, you're dealing with someone from America. Like, I can read a Brian Hintehar or a Neil Druckmann thing perfectly, but when it comes to Nomura, it's always like there's always these little extra little things in there. But I have as a rule that the writers take into account the requirements of the individual level design teams when putting together the script. This goes through as a first addition to Disney, which comes back to me and on which I write my own additions and arrangements so that they fit into the general progression of the game and the narrative flow. Finally, it is sent back to Disney again to perform more checks. And I guess that's why you can say, I guess the Disney worlds actually work, because at the end of the day, you do have Disney actually keeping their touch in, of course, the worlds. You don't just have Square Enix just writing them, because if Square Enix just wrote them, I think we would have the same thing as what's happening with the Final Fantasy characters, in which, of course, if you really look into a lot of people's opinions, they feel like the Final Fantasy characters ever since Kingdom Hearts 1 for some reason have slowly kind of dwindled out of the story. Kingdom Hearts 2, they were more so just engaged with like Hollow Bastion. In Kingdom Hearts 1, it was like they were engaged with pretty much a lot of the progression of the actual overall plot. And it seems like, of course, if Nomura had the power to really do everything, then of course we could actually be running into some issues here. Well, when it comes to the Disney worlds as well, we could potentially see the same exact thing. Not saying that it's wrong, because definitely, and I'm not making excuses for, of course, Kingdom Hearts just because it's my favorite video game series, but when it comes to a Kingdom Hearts game that's more so based on its own elements, I'm not against that. I mean, I want a game like that eventually, but of course, this is a series based on Final Fantasy and Disney characters coming together with Kingdom Hearts' own universe in the center of it. So definitely, I would love to see like a Kingdom Hearts game that's based completely on just the lore and narrative and stuff of the Kingdom Hearts world. Definitely, it seems like, of course, that's what keeps that from happening. That's why, you know, the Kingdom Hearts Disney worlds are so still beloved, because, of course, Disney do actually keep a touch on them. They keep them up to par with the standards of the films, and this is why they stay, of course, as likable and as enjoyable within Kingdom Hearts. For those who are new to the saga, do you think Kingdom Hearts 3 is a good starting point, or should they have played all of the other games? This is what I absolutely want to read, because I remember him saying this multiple times in 2015, but let's go ahead and get into it. There are not many examples in video games, but I think there are cases of movies and television series in which the audience can be interested halfway. We have included several elements in Kingdom Hearts 3 to explain the story and get the rookies to reach the minimum speed for the required level of comprehension, including a series of videos that explain the story so far at the beginning of the game. I would be delighted if people who play Kingdom Hearts 3 are interested in the saga and go back to also play the rest of the titles. And this is exactly what I stated in my video talking about should newcomers review Kingdom Hearts 3. Tetsuya Nomura, Taya Sue, and Shinji Hashimoto have all said something very similar to this, in which they mentioned that, of course, they have actually thought ahead for the people that are going to be jumping in with this experience because of how much the experience looks all flashy. And of course, this is one of the most, or the most hyped Kingdom Hearts game ever. We have never had a time like this in which a Kingdom Hearts game was releasing and people were this fucking hyped for it. Not even with Kingdom Hearts 1, not even with Kingdom Hearts 2. I mean, the internet wasn't as prominent as it was back then by like 06, but of course it's never been this big for a Kingdom Hearts release. And of course, going off of what we know, 4 games have released since Kingdom Hearts 2, and this is not including Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, but this is like the most prominent Kingdom Hearts game when it comes to how big it is. This game is already winning awards as the most like anticipated game at every convention that it's at. So definitely this is exactly how I felt about it as well. There will be a way for newcomers to actually find out enough about the plot that Kingdom Hearts 3 is cohesive. And with that being the case, there's no reason to worry about somebody new talking about the story, because as long as they don't skip these portions, as long as they don't skip these, of course, cutscenes, they will find out enough about the story that the story should be cohesive enough to them for this final outing when it comes to the Xehanort saga. As well, of course, Tetsuya Nomura said exactly what I said. When you have a game that's good on its own merits, 305 Days Over 2, which that was the game for me that was good on its own merits that got me into this series, you then have the thing or the dilemma to where players actually go back and try the rest of the games. And with them all being on one console, it's a huge disservice to try and say people shouldn't start Kingdom Hearts 3 without checking out 1.5 plus 2.5 and 2.8. Well, what if they don't give a shit about those and they see that Kingdom Hearts 3 is a game that actually does genuinely interest them and they don't give a shit about these, but once they play Kingdom Hearts 3, then of course they want to play the rest of them. that's something that you're stopping people from being able to do. Well, you're not stopping people from being able to do it. That's something that you're making people not want to do when you act like an asshole and try to tell them that they shouldn't be talking about the game. They shouldn't, of course, try and talk about, of course, the story elements and stuff without, of course, playing the rest of the games. They shouldn't even be picking up Kingdom Hearts 3 without checking out the rest of the games. And if they feel like it's too confusing for them, then that's on them. No. I mean, at least Nomura, Square Enix, and them, they see the importance of, you know, making sure that the story is cohesive to new players, because each new entry into a video game series brings about a new player, unless, of course, there is a core fan base and stuff that plays these games. And that's something that you kind of experience with games like Dark Souls and stuff like that. So whereas more so their core fan base and stuff that keeps those games alive, new players don't really come into them because it doesn't seem like there's too much of a story. And of course, a lot of the mainstream video game what do I want to say, atmosphere is more so based towards multiplayer type of games. This is why a game like Fortnite blew the fuck up like it did, because a lot of the atmosphere is more so based towards multiplayer. But that's enough of my tangent. That was all that Tetsuya Nomura had to say. I really had to rant at the end there, because thank you, Tetsuya Nomura, for actually restating this again, that there will be a way for new players to find out all that they need to know by the standards of Tetsuya Nomura and the team to understand Kingdom Hearts 3 comprehensively. So there you go. This is being boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this news outing, and don't forget to go follow me on Twitter at AmaziahYT, where the discussion is always happening, baby. This is being boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and peace the heck out. What's left of me? What's left of me? And you and I.